skirmishes 도시형.
All right, guys, here we are on Shakuris Plateau, and in the blue, representing Complexity MVP, North American Protoss player, it is none other than Minigun. And down at the bottom left part of the map, in the red, from the Team Empire, winner of our last game, it is Violet.
All right, so PvZ action here. This map was determined by Minigun. Of course, the format of the series, if you guys are just tuning into the tournament for this first time or something like that, is we have a best of 9 in an all-kill format between 2 of the best teams in the world every single night. And it's not just that the losing team picks the next player, but they also pick the next map as well. So out of our map pool, which is 10 maps deep, and of course there are $20,000 on the line in this tournament. $9,000 to first place, so there's quite a bit of money there as well. Some of the best teams are represented, and we're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty now as teams are starting to get knocked out.
Yeah, we're starting to see the cream rise to the top and things like that. Very cool to see. And just a little anecdote about Violet, for those of you who may not know, he used to be a pro Warcraft 3 player as well. And at one point was playing Warcraft 3 professionally and also in Code S at the same time. So this guy's got a lot of talent here. Spent some time in North America training before he went to Empire.
Speaking of Warcraft 3 players that I think are going to be beasts when they do StarCraft full-time, I am actually, I don't know why I'm behind this guy so much, but I'm behind Moon 100%. And I really think with his work ethic that when he goes 100% StarCraft 2, no questions asked, that's all he's dedicating his time on, no Warcraft 3 at all, I think he's going to be, he may not be top tier MMA MVP, but I think he's going to be fighting in the in Code S for a while.
Now, it was, what, like a month ago or so he was picked up by a Chinese team, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the team, but I believe that's where he ended up going. And, yeah, so I'm sure he's getting lots of practice in down there. Warcraft 3 is just gigantic in China. I mean,
it is.
Those guys, the Chinese have a huge esports scene.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see. We actually had, I'm going to tell us this is pretty funny, actually. We had a Chinese website from 163.com, which is actually like the 7th largest site in China, 32nd largest in the world, which is absurd to me. But apparently someone there covered one of the top 5s that we did and basically overdubbed me, which I thought was kind of funny. So a lot of the comments on there were like, haha, fat guy, so jolly. So it's... It was pretty fun to listen to.
I thought you could just speak Chinese. I was like, oh, you know Mandarin? It's pretty good.
Not that talented.
Well, let's kind of take a look at what's going on here. We've got, obviously, the hatchery going up for Violet. He went for the pool first. Didn't want to die into any early sort of shenanigans.
Right.
Yep. Forge expand from Minigun, so things kind of proceeding fairly normally in that regard, too. Got the drone kind of plugging the hole there. The cannon comes up just in time. And nope. Oh, wow. He actually... All right.
Yeah.
All right. Saving the probe. Nice job putting on the pylon there for a moment.
Very much so.
Cancel that again.
Right back to holding position again.
No, I have not seen Minigun play forever.
Yeah.
It's been a very long time. Oh, I love the build by Violet, too. I love seeing players go for that fast third hatchery before gas against Protoss. I think it's a great response to all these Protoss players going for the really greedy economic builds.
If this was a match with Team Rain, I don't know, can you ping the map in this mode as it is? So,
I would have said
no. we would have seen pings all over there like, there's a third base up! There's a third base!
Frank pinging away.
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. All right.
So.
Well, Minigun does have his cybernetic score up, and I think he has a little path through here where he can squeeze gateway units through. So, playing a little bit of tower defense there, but not a completely closed wall. Now, let's see here. That drone is still gotten away. Minigun kind of gave up on it, so we'll see if that can cause some annoyance later. At the very least, it's going to be an effective late scout.
That drone is like, don't mind me. I'm a probe now. I've joined the Protoss. I'd like to... I would warp something in, but I don't have the technology, so I'm just going to... provide moral support, I guess.
can turn into a building if you want. Like I can sacrifice myself.
Yeah, wow, that probe. Just living forever, but there's really nothing Minigun can do about it, you know? I mean, well, he's sending that zone across the map. Chrono boosting out another one as well, and that drone is just going to pretty much be alive for as long as he wants to be, apparently.
Evidently. Well, maybe Minigun is just going to do some sort of a powerful gateway attack. Nothing sneaky. He doesn't mind if his opponent sees it. But Violet very soon is going to be able to move into heavy unit production off of 3 bases.
Yeah, going for a Roach Warren and his lair right now, too, so he's going to be able to get a lot of roaches, a lot of roach upgrades at the same time. the pretty powerful ground army that he's going to produce. Minigun's going to try to put some pressure on this third.
Yeah. And it looks like that probe trying to drop down and forward. Pylon does get it down. The probe's going to get away here, so Minigun will be waiting for some warp-ins in just a bit. Probe, no! What did you ever do to those Zerglings? Drone's still running around. Oh, and he is going to fall.
All right, so the Stalker is, finally out. Up to 4 gates for Minigun. All right, so he is going to go for a little bit gateway-heavy composition, going for that +1 timing possibly here.
We'll find out in just a second. Oh, another probe trying to make its way across the map. It's going to cause these Zealots to have to run back now because that probe's in danger once again. 7 roaches are being produced, and +1 is just finishing up along with Warp Gate technology. Actually, both those hitting identically, so very nice sense of timing out of Minigun.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have a nice set of warp-ins here.
Yeah, it looks like it's all Zealots for now. 4 more Zealots making their way in. He's got a lot of gas saved up. He will need some sentries in a bit. That's certainly going to help with the roaches.
Yeah, I don't know if Minigun really anticipated all these roaches. I think he was planning on it being a mostly Zergling force at this point here. +1 Zealots are great against Zerglings, but against roaches, not so much.
Right.
So you may have to pull back and at least wait for another round of warp-ins with Stalkers and things.
Yeah, still a little bit of a loss for him, though. He's trying to pull back to more Stalkers, and there's the sentries that we were waiting for. So trapping a couple of units in there. 2 roaches do fall. A third may go down as well if he targets the hurt one, and doesn't quite do that. Was going after another one altogether, and those sentries are going to take a while before they're able to build up more energy for force fields.
Minigun needs to be really careful here because while he's doing all this, okay, he is going home now. Yeah, roach speed is getting pretty close to done, and more roaches were on the way, so Minigun doing the right thing. And not going home. All right, adding on more sentries.
Yeah.
We'll see. This might end up being something that he regrets, but Violet still continuing to add on roaches. I think he should have enough to defend. Yeah, Minigun just deciding to go home apparently now.
Yeah, and Minigun still does have those forward pylons, so we can launch another attack, or attack part 2 here in a second. Yep. Once he adds in some immortals or something like that. Oh, but it looks like the roaches come right back in as soon as he leaves. And
you saw all those.
Are going to die.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. You generally don't want to leave pylons just kind of sitting there randomly. They can be a problem later.
And now Violet's starting to drone up like mad. Of course, he was forced away from droning because, looks like a couple more roaches caught in the middle here. Zealot, doesn't die in response. One more shot would get off, but it looks like Violet turned around before he could get that done. But he was behind on drones for quite a while because Minigun was putting on some pressure, and it did force quite a few units out of Violet.
Okay, looks like he's going to try to expand to that pocket expansion as well. Get some cannons up early on to stay safe. And, going for +1 at the same time. A switch to Colossus looks like it is in order for Complexity MVP Minigun.
Let's see here. Photon cannons are going to die pretty quickly
nice
if they don't get up
there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, trap so many of those units, and they can't focus on anything at the moment. It looks like he's just going to try and go after the Nexus here, and he may get a cancel on that.
Oh, he has to cancel. You will kill all these units, though. They will not get away. So, a little bit of revenge from Minigun.
Yeah, this is probably going to allow him to safely expand for a while. There are 18 more roaches coming up, but what's sitting out here for Minigun can pretty well dispatch of 18 roaches, actually.
Yeah. Well, there's the Nexus. Okay, it is going to go up those Stalkers being jerks and being in the way.
That's what they do.
Yep. So Minigun not really slowed down too much from that. That's an odd place to put your robotics, babe.
Wondering about that. Yeah.
Okay.
As I said,
he's kind of like, hey, man, you want to know what tech I'm going?
Guess.
I'll give you a hint.
Hey, guess.
It might have to do with this robotics bay that I built on the low ground in front of my third base.
It's just like some sort of like super head games being played right now.
I know.
I'm going to put this here so you don't think I'm actually going to go for it because you think I'm trying to trick you, but then I am actually going to go for it. Ha ha ha.
Seriously.
And then it just doesn't matter.
If I were Violet and I saw that, I would be like, he's actually getting an upgrade on it. I'm like, all right, this is a little bit weird, but you kind of have to assume that there's going to be Colossi coming. You have to prepare for it. Violet, though, not adding on a Spire or anything like that. He's going for an Infestation Pit instead. Going for some Roach upgrades. His upgrades a little bit behind Miniguns here.
There's this really dangerous stage whenever Zergs are on 3 base and Protoss are on 2 and they're just getting their infrastructure going. Yeah, that burrowed movement coming up as well. However, Minigun does see this, so those are not going to last very long. In fact, here comes Minigun and those roaches. Oh, wow, this is actually a huge win for Minigun. Oh, if he can trap any. No, okay. I thought he would have just trapped most of them, but unfortunately did not. But anyway, there's this really, touchy time whenever a Protoss player is on 2 bases trying to go to their third when their infrastructure is coming up, where Zerg players can just throw waves of units at their opponent. And Minigun, because he killed so many roaches and forced the drones to delay their production for so long, was actually able to safely take a third. And once he gets there, man, Protoss is so strong on 3 bases.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if he's going to do a timing with Thermal Lance here. Looks like he wants to try to push out. I think that'd be a good idea. Try to catch Violet as he's getting some upgrades right before the Infestors come out with that energy upgrade.
Sure.
Might decide to wait. Yeah, he is making Blink now and starting some more upgrades. So it looks like he isn't going to push quite yet. He's going to wait a little bit. Ah, and he found some more roaches.
Yeah, he's going to try and move down there and trap them. We'll see if Violet takes that as an excuse to run along the outside. But Minigun, traps a couple of roaches. Again, it's going to be a pretty good game for him. Not sure why those were thrown down.
We need to have a conversation with Minigun and tell him how Burrow works, because apparently he thinks he can force field burrowed roaches.
New upgrade for Protoss, man.
Yeah. Burrowed force fields? Yeah, my burrowed force fields.
Throw them
counter your burrowed roaches.
All right.
Oh, well. All right. Well, that didn't work out terribly well.
No,
for
but
Minigun.
He's still amassing a huge army at the moment. He's got +2
he's still
coming
in great
up.
shape.
Yeah, and he's got that Warp Prism just finished up as well, and more force fields going down. 2 more roaches did fall, though, for really no loss, just loss of energy, which actually could prove to be pretty big if a big engagement hits. But
speaking of big engagements, this looks like one that might end up being pretty large. A lot of roaches on the map right now.
Yeah.
And +2 weapons getting pretty close to being done about 2/3 of the way for Minigun.
Sure.
And Blink is going to be hugely helpful when that finishes as well. Oh, and he's going to have a couple more gateways up. He should be fine.
All right. Well, we're going to see what he can do now. More weapons coming in for Minigun, and he's going to try and trap these units, but Violet, of course, just testing the front and seeing how much is sitting on the field now for Mini.
Oh, here we go. Oh. Violet debating on whether or not he wants to push in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of not the best angle for him to do so with that.
No, I mean, just those Colossi, the presence of the Colossi being able to close off that choke point, so nice. Warp Prism dropping in, though. Just 1 Zealot for now. If it forces any units out, it's going to be a problem. And boom! Oh, hello. Spine Crawlers, freeing up supply and offering defense.
So are we going to see a switch into Mutalisks possibly when that Spire finishes, or are we going to see him go right into something like Broodlords?
Possible,
We could see both. Usually a lot of Spines means Mutalisks, but this is a map where it wouldn't be bad to split and just defend as you kind of siege up with your Broodlords as well.
And the Zealots certainly doing their job in taking out the hatchery there. So 3 base to 3 base. Actually, Minigun's expanding to his 4th while he's adding a Stargate. I would imagine that's going to be for the express purpose of putting up a fleet beacon and eventually a mothership. But we'll certainly find out if he has some sort of clever transition in his pocket.
Yep, Hive and some Corruptors on the way too. So Corruptors are going to be good against the Colossi, obviously. And once the Hive finishes, he can go for that Greater Spire. That's it's interesting that he threw down so many Spines, though. Usually you don't see that unless it's going to be some sort of big, heavy Mutalisk play like you would see Sen do or something like that.
Right.
Ah, there's the Fleet Beacon, though, for Minigun.
Yeah, so we are going to see a mothership here in a bit. There was just 1 Stargate, so no carriers, of course. Those DTs are going to work inside of the main, but this attack is coming right up the front. Doesn't look like Violet is prepared for this. Minigun not really going to take many losses right there. The Corruptors flying overhead, though, so the Colossi are going to have to back up. Nice job kind of zoning out those roaches and allowing him to deal with 3 or 4 Corruptors before anything else had happened. The DTs did eventually go down, but not before, well, 18 workers haven't killed in this game.
Yeah, I got to say that Minigun did handle that attack pretty well. Pulled back so that his Stalkers could focus on the Colossi, kept his, Corruptors.
Yeah.
So the Colossi would be safe. That's what I'm trying to say there. And, yeah, didn't really take a whole lot of losses. He's got a supply lead.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Supply.
Oh, the culling. Need to make room for that mothership.
Yes, here's the mothership coming up. A few of those Stalkers had to drink the Kool-Aid, but that's okay. And Violet, he's got a number of units on the field, but there's only 4 Infestors with this. It's just primarily Roaches. Roaches by themselves are going to get torn up, but we're going to see, eventually with Greater Spire coming up, the ability to switch those into Broodlords, it'll be a lot more powerful army. But man, once you have a mothership along with this as well, this is pretty good for Minigun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he decides to use all that.
Yeah.
Just kind of clearing out some more Spine Crawlers and some more Creep Tumors here.
Yeah, and let's see here. 82 workers to 40 right now. So Violet Max actually on a pretty ridiculously sized army. He's got a lot of resources to remax. And it looks like Minigun wants to force the engagement right now. Corruptors are overhead at the moment. One Colossus is going to go down very quickly. Violet's starting to filter his units through now, and actually these Colossi are falling so fast.
Yeah, the Colossi were way too far forward in that army, and the Roaches were able to get in there and fire at them as well. So when you combine the Roach damage and the Corruptor damage, those Colossi die very, very quickly. And at the end of the day, Minigun's still ahead in supply, and he is actually on 5 bases now.
Yeah.
So he's still in great shape. He's still going to be able to re-macro pretty quickly, but he needs to make sure that he tries to avoid doing attacks like that in the future, because the type of trade that he did, you're only going to be able to do, you know, a certain number of times in this situation before it just starts to get a little bit too expensive. But here come the Broodlords for Violet, though. Oh, the hello, mothership.
Hello, mama ship.
Mom's home.
Yeah.
Fun's over.
Yeah, we have a lot of High Templar out there, so we'll have some Archons to throw underneath as well, and everyone loves a good bit of Archon toilet action.
Absolutely, yeah, man.
And 30 more Roaches being produced at the same time, sitting on 2-2 upgrades at the moment. Minigun on 1-3, prioritizing his weapons, but he does have +2 armor coming out now.
Yep. And let's see.
Yeah, let's see indeed.
Violet is just going to have a really hard time taking a 5th base in this situation.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point, especially because, you know, Minigun's presence and, let's see if these Broodlords are going to give him a little bit of strength, though. Yeah. That mothership sitting there with a couple of Archons, though, I mean, that is going to be difficult to come back against. Just 12 more seconds, and we will see a Vortex ready.
Yep, doesn't have the energy for it quite yet, but if he can hold off this area, while the Broodlord's sieged up long enough, he should be okay.
Right. And so Violet knows that there's a mothership overhead. He sees the cloaked radius as well, and it looks like the mothership does have a Vortex ready. Doesn't want to use it yet. And Violet doing a nice job of keeping his Broodlord separated from the rest of the army, so not everything gets pulled into the Vortex at once.
Yep. He also has an Overseer there as well, so the invisibility part of it is nullified at least. Doesn't make a huge difference.
All right. Oh, it looks like we have a little bit of a task force on the right-hand side, but there are some units there to take care of that. Minigun going to move right up the front, though. He may get a good Vortex here. This is a good spot for it. However, the Broodlords have not been pulled in quite yet, and they are actually just trying to pull away now.
He's trying to get those Archons in there.
Now he is. So there we go. All right, well, there's no Broodlord stacking, so this is actually going to be interesting. Who's going to win out of this fight when it pops up? Storm's hitting the field now. A lot of Roaches taking some damage, a huge damage output, as a matter of fact. These Colossi just have not been touched, and they're ripping through the Roaches.
Yeah, really nicely executed by Minigun. He really softened up the army for Empire.viOLet. And Minigun is just going to be able to roll the victory here, I think.
Wow.
He's got the unbeatable army right now. That did it.
Chad M.F. and Jones working his way through the Roaches. Now there's just a couple of Broodlords sitting behind. The supply for Violet is plummeting, and he just doesn't have the workers to be able to come back from this as well. Yep, there's the blink forward. Broodlords biting the dust, and Minigun takes a very exciting game number 2 here to even up the set 1-1.